Rachel Zegler as Snow White, and it's been an interesting casting because this woman is extraordinarily woke, as everyone is in Hollywood, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
Can you tell us a little bit about your version of Snow White?
Yeah, I mean, Snow White is the girl you remember, but she's definitely made for the modern age, and there's such an emphasis on what it really means to be the fairest of them all. And for Snow White, it's coming to terms with finding herself and finding her inner voice and finding a sense of agency so that she can be a just ruler and a wonderful queen.
Then the star of the film, Rachel Zegler, proceeded to light all that goodwill on fire. She made it clear that she thinks the story of Snow White is actually very creepy and misogynistic.
Rachel Zegler is facing a significant backlash as her much-anticipated portrayal of Snow White has been pulled from theaters. The fallout has been so severe that she is now attempting to reinvent herself amidst the chaos. Behind the scenes, studio executives are likely in a state of panic, grappling with the reality that they have invested $242 million into a film whose lead actress has openly criticized it.
Now she's trying to reinvent herself because there's been so much blowback, and you can only imagine the studio calls about this woman behind the scene, like, oh my God, we're $242 million in, and our lead actress hates our film.
And I saw myself on screen, and I just wanted to throw up.
Zegler herself has expressed her discontent, stating that when she saw her performance on screen, she felt compelled to throw something in frustration. Once upon a time, Disney believed they had a surefire hit on their hands with a live-action reboot of Snow White, the iconic princess who started it all. However, what was meant to be a magical return to the classics has turned into a complete disaster. Theater chains are now pulling the film from their schedules, leaving many shocked.
Decided to film herself in a theater totally empty, giggling, tee-hee-heeing with total glee.
This kind of occurrence is rare for Disney, a company that typically thrives on remakes of beloved classics. Yet, this time, Zegler finds herself at the center of the storm. When Snow White finally premiered, one would expect at least a modest crowd to show up, but the reality was starkly different. Zegler attended the screening only to find herself in a nearly empty theater, sitting in the front row and grinning as if she were the only one who found joy in the film. Clips of her laughing alone quickly went viral, and the internet did not hold back in its criticism.
That at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
The stark contrast between her enthusiasm and the empty seats around her painted a grim picture of the film's reception. The reviews that followed were equally harsh, labeling the movie a preachy and joyless mess. Zegler had pitched the film as a modern moral reboot, intended to uplift and empower audiences. However, instead of inspiring viewers, it seemed to irritate die-hard Disney fans who were looking for nostalgia and magic rather than lectures and drama.
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Zegler emphasized that this version of Snow White would not be saved by a prince. Instead, she would be focused on becoming a leader in her own right. Unfortunately, this approach did not resonate well with audiences, leading to swift and brutal backlash. Insiders have reported that the situation has become so intense behind the scenes that Zegler is now dealing with significant emotional stress. The negative press surrounding the film was not just bad, it was overwhelmingly negative. Rumors of on-set drama, creative disagreements, and backstage conflicts overshadowed any discussion about the film's story or visuals. By the time the movie hit theaters, the conversation had shifted from whether the film would be good to who was feuding with whom.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Reports indicate that Zegler and her co-star, Gal Gadot, were not exactly on friendly terms. This tension, combined with dismal box office numbers, led to theaters pulling the film faster than audiences could buy tickets. Currently, Zegler's Snow White has been labeled one of the worst films in IMDb history, holding a dismal rating of 1.5. key markets reported nearly empty screenings during the opening weekend, which triggered panic among Disney executives.
Gal Gadot's Snow White is now listed as one of the worst films in history. Right now it has a 1.5. Okay, this isn't looking good.
Disney is known for its robust marketing strategies, often pushing films with extensive promotional campaigns, including merchandise, advertisements, and theme park tie-ins. However, with Snow White, none of that magic seemed to work. The film quickly transitioned from being Disney's next big thing to a perplexing failure in just a few days. As of now, it sits at a mere 43% on Rotten Tomatoes, earning the unfortunate title of the worst box office flop in the history of Disney's live-action remakes.
Currently, Snow Woke and the 7 Pronouns is sitting at 43% on the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes.
Worse than even Dumbo and Pinocchio. If Snow White was intended to be Rachel Zegler's big Hollywood breakthrough, it has instead turned into a public relations nightmare. Insiders suggest that she has been deeply affected by the realization that the film, meant to showcase her talent, now feels like the beginning of a downward spiral. The ongoing Cold War with Gadot has only added to the drama. From the early days of the press tour, whispers circulated about their differing political views, which only intensified the tension between them.
Well, the reaction has been absolutely horrible. It is the worst box office from a Disney live-action remake that they've ever done in Dumbo.
The situation escalated when Gadot organized a cast and crew celebration intended to foster camaraderie. However, Zegler chose not to attend, citing a clash with her values, which many interpreted as a polite refusal. Reports from the set indicated that Zegler and Gadot struggled to maintain a professional relationship, with rumors of ideological disagreements leading to multiple rescheduled filming sessions. This resulted in ballooning budgets and overworked editors who had to piece together a coherent film from the chaos. The palpable tension between the two actresses was evident on screen, with reviews noting a lack of chemistry that made it feel as though viewers were watching two co-workers who couldn't stand each other during a forced Zoom call.
Say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Disney attempted to keep the drama under wraps, but it was clear that the film was plagued by issues. The marketing campaign struggled to gain traction, with canceled photo shoots and awkward promotional events becoming the norm. As the negative press continued to spread, the box office performance of Snow White plummeted. Theaters began to replace it with other films, including horror flicks and romantic comedies, as audiences opted for anything but Zegler's version of the classic tale. Insiders revealed that entire screening schedules were being scrapped due to the film's poor reception, and the final blow came when theaters decided to pull the movie altogether. After the film was pulled from theaters, Zegler largely disappeared from the public eye. Insiders indicated that she went into hiding, feeling heartbroken and overwhelmed by the fallout. Friends described her as often in tears, grappling with the reality that she had become synonymous with a Hollywood disaster. This was not just any flop, it was Disney's Snow White, a role that carries immense cultural significance, and it had turned into a branding nightmare for her.
The princess is pro-Palestinian, and the evil queen is a Zionist.
Hollywood is now on edge, wary of the implications of Zegler's failure. While many acknowledge her talent, there is a palpable fear of repeating this disaster on other projects. Studio executives are reportedly hesitant to cast her in major films, concerned that the drama surrounding Snow White could follow her to new sets. The fallout has extended beyond Zegler, with discussions about how any future projects involving her or Gadot might carry the stigma of this spectacular failure. To complicate matters further, Gadot's camp has begun to assign blame, pointing fingers at Zegler for much of the chaos, particularly her controversial interviews and political statements that alienated fans before the film even premiered. This blame game has escalated tensions, and the fallout is not just about one actress or one film. it has put Disney itself under scrutiny. The once untouchable company, synonymous with family-friendly entertainment, is now left to ponder the implications of Snow White's catastrophic performance. The question now looms, was Rachel Zegler simply in the wrong movie at the wrong time? Is Disney's strategy of remaking beloved classics officially over? And, if all the drama had been absent, would audiences have been more inclined to watch this version of Snow White? The answers remain uncertain, but one thing is clear. The fallout from this film will be felt for a long time to come.